Daytona International Speedway. For the past 6 seasons now, the IORA Cup Series has headed to this well-known venue in motorsport as the opener for our championship. We've been here before and we're bound to be here again, but tonight, Season 6 begins, finishing off 2024. A track like Daytona, well known, needs no introduction, but the IORA Cup Series is coming back after what was a remarkable 5th season in operation. Cleaner racing than ever, and a championship battle until the very last event. This series has proven time and time again it is ready to stand the test of time as a Thursday night league well known for years to come. Now, with River Page as our defending champion in a field of more than 25 strong, registered, ready to take on the turns here in Florida, it's about time we go racing yet again for 250 miles, the first 100 laps of the season, to determine who gets the head start, the upper hand, and the biggest first opportunity at a championship and an advantage in the ever-crucial playoff race. This is Daytona, and this is the IORA Cup Series, and the high banks in just a few minutes' time will come alive once more here on FTN. Welcome back to Daytona. We've said it about 1,000 times before, but for the IORA Cup Series, it's that much more special. At one point, this series only ran with some 5 or 10 drivers on a week-to-week basis, and now we are here, and it's time for Season 6. Welcome back, live on FTN. It is time for qualifying here from the high banks. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast, David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and it's an exciting time to be an IORA Cup Series driver as some of the best veterans have returned alongside promising rookies, and it's open qualifying tonight for 10 minutes, giving drivers a chance now to settle in and find that fastest groove. Packs are already being formed, relationships are being made on the track. Don't expect to see anyone alone for all too long now. And take a look there at the number 24, River Page, your champion from Season 5. One of the first drivers we're going to focus on here is the man that got the championship done in one of the most competitive seasons we've seen on FTN, let alone IORA, with Coke Series drivers, NASCAR veterans, rookies and veterans alike giving runs for each other's money. We saw some of the best drivers all throughout the platform take a chance here in IORA, and Page was the man, end over end, who was able to get it done. Now in qualifying, he finds himself 13th on the order, but don't expect that to stay the same. He just went right up to the pole position as we speak of it. Zach Trevino is going to be there in second. Jason Semedo, the brand new driver, the number 12, is going to find himself in third. And back on the scene is a very well-known driver in Sean Rowe, returning for what could be a full-time campaign. He's there in the number 19. Right beside him, going to be Andres Veras in the 82. Familiarity going to meet up with some brand new drivers tonight, and expecting a clash of drivers to bring a little bit more excitement to the field in a way that is most often unseen in IORA racing. Now we have a total of some 28 drivers registered to this point. It is still somewhat growing, a bigger field than last season or the season prior to kick off the season, and many promising names now as group qualifying will progress. Page is going to be at the pole position, and Antonio Mancini gets up there in a second. Antonio, well known for running a few of these races here and there on the schedule, but not seeing the fruits of his labor so far, getting up to the front of the field at race's end. Promising start, though, as he finds himself one of the fastest here in this qualifying group. Everyone's goal now is not going to be necessarily aggressive, but instead stay in line and hope to avoid what we just saw there. Up and over Trevino. Mancini goes around. Major wreck. They'll all have a chance to get back on the track again, but you'll see there, destruction. That's what you want to avoid as the race goes on, and now the smaller pack goes through. So now a group of some 7 or 8 drivers are going to be able to get away here, fanning out from the rest of the field. Jacob Wilkerson decides to go down and in and try to meet up with all those who just lost their opportunity. There's Sean Rowe. He's going to get there with Beaver Serrano, Jason Semedo and company. Looks like now All the drivers from that previous pack are coming together once again. There's Fyodor Dovchenko. It looks like one more driver coming down a pit road. There's Jesse Martinez in a 999 today. He's got the number 5 paint scheme on, an all-black livery. He's in 16th place for the time being, and Antonio Mancini just disconnected after setting that blistering lap time, only to put him within a second, or rather a tenth and a half, of River Page. Page had the quickest lap by a long shot, and it looks like it's going to take an awful lot to beat it. Now it's going to be 6 or 7 drivers going right under Aiden Walker. Here's Page now at Brandon Dugan. Looks like they're preparing maybe the restart formula for today. We're going to be getting down to that pacing speed. They're going at some 110 miles now and slightly increasing, and they're hoping to put the pedal down and catch up to the rest of the field that will be coming with them sometime soon. 3 minutes and 33 seconds left, and this pack should have a chance for maybe at most 3 more laps. So admittedly, time is running out now, but these drivers have just enough to get a few more laps in at a competitive level. Coming across the line now, expect this to be the final wave of competitive laps. There's the number 86 machine also tied up in this, and that's going to be a very familiar face in its own right. Hunter Bogdan going to be 23rd in the timing sheets right now. He's there with Xander McKinney and Jim Thurston, the 96, who came home runner-up in the championship last season, and of course, he finds himself again as a defending champion from Season 3. Looking to do it all over again and perhaps go back for the championship. Sean Conklin is the only former series champion not racing with us tonight. Rest of the field remains tucked in tight from veterans and new alike. And tonight, the veterans in particular focus on another incident. There's Demos going around. That might have just ended his qualifying session. And Mostella right now finds himself in 10th. So hopefully for his sake, that's not the best he can do. As River Page and company come around one more time. 2 minutes remaining. And now, it's going to get serious here between the some 10 drivers we have left. Aiden Walker shoots up to second. He'll get himself up now to the provisional top front row. And now you'll see drivers backing up again. Jesse Martinez lying back. And River Page going to get to the tail end of the pack now with Brendan Dugan. Expect them to make a major move here, deciding to hang back and get in the draft for that next lap. This could be the most important lap for the 24 and his teammate, the 55 of Dugan, as they are locking themselves in to try to steal the front row all to themselves. Let's see if the plan works now as they're rocketing up in front, getting that boost of speed, shall we say, from the air just in front of them, and going at a speed now of 189 miles an hour. They are going to keep their foot to the floor. Now a minute and 20 seconds left as drivers come by once again, single file. Take a ride on board now with Page as he's looking to get that pole position all but entirely locked up. Riding right now behind David Joyner and the number 85 Quantum Threat team, River is going to find himself not necessarily laying off, but you can see now the tow is going to carry everyone in together. Daniel Mosteller is now going to try to get in the mix for one more good lap, and he is going to be hot on the heels now of Brandon Dugan as he gets in just in time for that tow to really carry him in now. 1 lap to go here in qualifying with 39 seconds left. The best times have been taken by this point, and River Page remains on top. Brandon Dugan, just a plan. He's now in second. The front row is with the teammates, the 24 and 55 for Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports, both of which able to get the job done. But now let's see if anyone else can steal it from them. They'll have to be carrying as much speed as possible down the back straight for even a chance to get back to that start-finish line, and it looks especially unlikely now. David Joyner stays up top with Braxton Whitaker, and now with less than 5 seconds left, it is no use. Page and Dugan worked the strategy out perfect, and as a result, checkered flag in qualifying, the 24 of Page will collect the first pole position of the season. And at the line, the results remain final. Page gets the job done. He's got Brendan Dugan right beside him. And it's, of course, our defending champion once again to the top of the board tonight. Dugan and Xander McKinney alongside each other there. Xander gets up in a 6th. Aiden Walker P3, and a triumphant return for David Joyner, who looks to now find himself all the way up in top in 4th. Let's see now what happens. Barreling down through turns 3 and 4 this time by. If any final changes can be made, this is where they happen. Dugan and Page still racing alongside each other, but it appears the front row is fully complete. Start-finish line now sees Jacob Wilkerson next to Page, and that's how they remain. Joyner stays 4th, Walker stays 3rd. Front row is identical to what we saw the lap prior. River Page collects the first pole position of the season from Daytona. And so now 100 laps are going to be on the table for drivers tonight. River, of course, your defending champion's got a lot to prove here as he looks to go, perhaps finishing off the season in the best way possible. He was able to come through, collect his first ever championship. Why not bring that momentum once again and maybe look for victory lane immediately? Let's take a look at your starting grid from top to bottom tonight here in the IORA Cup Series season opener from Daytona, and the best drivers in the field have returned yet again. Front row going to be familiar faces in River Page and Brendan Dugan, both of which able to work alongside each other to get that pole position in front row locked up. It'll be the number 24 and the 55 first and second. Then you'll see Aiden Walker in 3rd and David Joyner position number 4. Joyner returning for the first time since season 3. 4th place is going to be occupied by Joyner. Then you see 5th is Braxton Whitaker. And Xander McKinney is position number 6. Jesse Martinez, the first full-on rookie, qualifies in 7th tonight, right alongside your Season 4 champion of Chip Thurston. And Daniel Mosteller, the 2-time champ, returns again. He'll be starting in 9th tonight. Antonio Mancini, position number 10. 11th place on the order going to be Vincent Guecci, and Sean Rose going to be 12th with Jacob Wilkerson 13th. Beaver Serrano, 9,000s back, is going to be in 14th to kick off the night. And Zach Trevino is in row 8, right alongside Jason Semedo, 15th and 16th. 17th goes down to the number 82, and that's going to be Andres Veras. Henry Cala, position number 18, and then Bibi Ruiz and Aladam Contreras round out the top 20. 21st position then goes to Jacques Carter with Fyodor Dovchenko in 22nd. 23rd place to Aaron Schugel and Michael Deitches in 24th. Hunter Bogdan going to be position number 25, and then you got the number 79 machine of Ari Tolliver, Nathan Palawada, Chase Schaefer, 27th and 28th. Final driver on the starting grid tonight, the 0-2, brand new driver in his own right, and that is going to be Austin Barnett. The last drivers now roll off of your starting grid. 29 have registered, 30 drivers nearly, and 15 rows, almost all of which filled to kick off the season here in Daytona. That's your starting grid from the World Center of Racing. And now pit road is empty. A successful race at Daytona goes a long way in the championship, and a victory might not always mean failure per se, but failing to win could also mean success. It could be a savvy pit stop strategy that gives you that green flag position to fight for a top 5 or top 10 at the end of race. It could be staying out of trouble even when attrition is high, and it also could come down to whether or not you're able to stick with your teammates and communicate till the end of the day. You might not be the most abundant driver. You might not get the most TV time tonight, but success at Daytona sets the tone for the rest of the season, and if you're able to start strong here, you can go all the way at any other track on the IORA schedule. Expect lessons learned from tonight to prove critical from now until the end of 2024. River Page is due to lead the field into the green flag yet again, and this time he'll do so as a former series champion, looking to defend his crown with the 55 of Brendan Dugan right alongside him. The teammates able to get the job done in qualifying. Now let's find out whether or not they can do it once again here in the big show. 250 miles of racing, 100 laps are going to be on deck tonight as we go green for the 6th season of IORA competition. Paige leads the way. Welcome back to IORA. We are green from Daytona. Across the line, River Page no longer your race leader, but instead it'll be Brendan Dugan up at the front of the board now. The 55 finds himself up in front, as you see there, 3 wide up at the head of the field. Let's see whether or not that trend carries forth for the rest of the drivers. I don't think so. And now you'll see drivers dropping back. David Joyner going to be caught up high in that 3 wide order, and the number 85 machine, no choice now but to get back in line. Alongside him will be the 87 of Daniel Mosteller. Braxton Whitaker now going to be up into the 7th spot, as you'll see Thurston Wiggle just ahead of him here, and 2 laps in out of 100. So far, it looks like familiar faces will lead, and those who are a little bit newer will hang back. You can see Andres Varas here in 14th. Aladam Contreras, while not a brand new driver, hasn't had a lot of seat time here in the IORA Cup Series, and as a result, maybe taking a little bit of a step back here intentionally, looking to learn, looking not to cause trouble, and looking to succeed when the job is done. Hopefully, that mature mindset of racing carries forth for everyone tonight. It is a necessary tool not to get overwhelmed, even when you see the pack is thick as it can come. 20th place is going to be Chase Schaefer right now, running tonight in the purple number 99 for Monster Design. Schaefer breaking out into the local racing scene for the very first time as a real driver after several years of successful sim racing performances. Now, Schaefer's going to find himself up inside the top 20. He started in 28th. He's up 8 on the day. Don't expect him to move too much further up. It's not worth it, especially with what we've seen out of the previous season openers, and Schaefer would know it firsthand. You might remember in season 4, he had multiple bouts with the same driver, Alexander Balderas, all of which appeared to be unintentional. But either way, you do not want to get yourself involved early with trouble. That could doom you, even though we do have indeed one fast repair. So if you're going to be in the back of the field, why not be in the back with your fast repair intact? That's the mindset now for Chase Schaefer and many of the company that he has right with him. And they're going to stay single file for the time being. Jason Semedo, he's in 13th. He's got himself now finding himself in maybe as the bridge between the first pack and the second. A little bit of a gap between him and Xander McKinney behind, and maybe a little bit from he and David Joyner just up in front. Nevertheless, both drivers going to be doing just fine now as 5 laps in out of 100. It looks like it's going to be Sean Rowe and Vincent Guecci, the new leaders of the lines. There's the number 19 machine of Guecci now up top, and he's got Jim Thurston working right there with. All the while, Guecci's got the push from River Page and Brendan Dugan. Once again, the teammates stacking up alongside each other, and the 55 machine deciding this time by he's got control. He's going to have River Page take it on the high side. Brendan's got it right down on the bottom. Guecci in the number 88, nevertheless, going to hang tough on the inside, and so begins the battle between separated teammates. And teammates are going to be abundant here tonight. Whether or not they're stuck together is what you see from Pager, of course, Brendan Dugan and Jim Thurston, like the Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport drivers, or maybe Henry Kaloff Racing. Kaloff is fielding multiple drivers tonight. Keep in mind, he's got himself now in 7th. He's got Michael Deitch down in 19th. And you have other teams such as JFR with drivers such as, but not limited to, say for instance, Aaron Schugel. Now one driver is going to go down on alone. It looks like he's got no one with them, and that's going to be falling way further on back. The number 49 machine, it appears, and with a quick drop back, you can see Jesse Martinez gets up there, but Zach Trevino gets out of the way. And Zach, for that reason, is going to be 2 laps down now, only 6 laps in. It looks like some early, perhaps, damage. He set himself down at pit road, and he's setting himself off the course for success. We'll see what comes of it as the next laps go by. Braxton Whitaker going to stay double file right now, as does the majority of the leading pack. River Page is going to head up top, only to get blocked again by the 88 of Guecci. Vinny decides to take it up to the top side, not going to give River a chance to get back down low where his teammate is, although Sean Rowe might be more help than anything else in pushing and shoving both drivers up and ahead. We'll see now what the game of trust brings to these drivers. Do they want to abandon other drivers they're working with to stay with their teammates, or do they want to be a little bit more adventurous like Brendan Dugan and decide to go wherever, whenever? Demos now going to surge 3 wide middle, and the middle groove comes alive once again, only to see Dugan end up topside and stranded with River Page. Both drivers together once more, but it looks like at a cost. And it looks like the price to pay is now Daniel Mostellers. He leads this race for the first time tonight. The two-time champion and the most acclaimed IORA driver in series history. Well known for his exploits since the very beginning of his championship in 2021. He is still just about as competitive as it gets. Multiple times he's been a championship leader in seasons he hasn't won the championship. You might remember season 4, he was the championship leader with 2 races remaining and had to prematurely retire from contention due to schedule conflicts. Watkins Glen last season, he had to bow out of the championship once more. Simply attendance has been of course in his way, and as a result, Demos has not been able to fight for a title to the same level as he has in seasons beforehand. So Mostellers, a driver who I'm sure still has one more championship in perhaps his bag of tricks. We'll see whether or not he pulls it out his sleeve tonight and maybe opens up with that first win. Antonio Mancini now going to be running second on the board, albeit briefly. You can see the number 97 on your screen getting a shove there from Sean Rowe, and that's Antonio now up at the head of the field and getting his first chance to lead the way alongside Demos. Very similar paint scheme going to be run tonight by Aaron Schugel. The orange and the white combination, somewhat common, and it looks like the number 97 gets it out there first rather than the 91. Let's see now what Mancini does with it. It's sort of being pushed up to the high side, and he'll have to get out of the way of most drivers because it looks like a little bit of distrust when facing off with Antonio, and they're going to leave him all the way back. Mancini now going to drop outside the top 10 and beyond as he falls back in the line once again. Take a ride on board now at Mancini and see exactly what he's seeing. Antonio now going to be following River Page in position number 9. Just barely able to stay in the top 10 now as everyone crunches up and goes 3 wide once again. A little bit of a different attitude this season, it appears. Drivers not afraid to take a 3 and pace that way, rather than what we've seen in years prior where maybe they've been a little bit more worried about going double file or even 3 wide oh so early. Season 4 had that lap 1 season opening crash, but in Season 5, this attitude of racing was not brought to the table, maybe in large part due to what happened in the season beforehand. However, it looks like tonight that sort of warning is not going to be apparent in any driver's racing mindset. If you're at the front of the field right now, top 10 or 15, be prepared to stay double file, be prepared to go 3 wide, and if sometimes you're not going to like what you see, it's your choice whether or not you want to keep on seeing it ahead of you, close, or ahead of you just a little bit further back. And racing at Daytona, not for the week tonight, but the conditions are very fair and should be in the favors of all drivers. Coming in now, it looks like 44.64% relative humidity, so mild but nothing too egregious. 78 degrees ambient temperature and a track temp of 82 Fahrenheit. Winds right now going to be southeast bound at 5 miles an hour, and the partly cloudy sky should give way to overall a very mild track temperature, even as the rubber gets laid down by drivers and they wear their stuff out and warm it up. At that, we should see the track be relatively calm in its response and not give these drivers any more worries than what they have around them, which is of course the field, their competitors, and the tire strategy, which might come into play as the race progresses. 13 laps in out of 100, and if we go all the way under green, which is possible or something of that nature, we could see the two-tire strategy, the two-stop strategy, shall we say, come into effect. Drivers have the opportunity to come down to pit road whenever they please under green. However, of course, most often you see drivers come in together. You don't want to be alone on the racetrack, especially at such a quick circuit like Daytona. So when pit road gets busy, it usually gets busy with groups of drivers coming in rather than drivers stringing down one at a time, which means that if we see drivers come in, expect them at major points in the race, such as the thirds, breaking this race up into 3 pieces. This is the first of which. Then you get on to the second, and that's when you come down to pit road for the first time to open up the second portion, and you come down for the final time to start the last portion. Every stint of the race will be broken up into some 30-35 laps. And that would get these drivers into, of course, a very, very firm position to go all the way. We do have an 80% fuel limit tonight, so we do not expect drivers to go for the one-stop strategy at all. It is practically infeasible, and instead, multiple pit stops will be incentivized and practically become mandatory. If any driver wants a real chance at going for the win, they're going to have to abide by those rules. They don't want to run out of fuel anyway. They've got to make sure they keep an eye on when they come down to pit road and why they're doing it. Daniel Osteller, Jacob Wilkerson, Aiden Walker. That's your new top 3, and they find themselves now strung together single file with Jim Thurston running 4th just behind them. All of a sudden, it looks like things calming down with Demos up and ahead, one of the most well-trusted and well-respected drivers in this field, but I think it's more so a coincidence, if anything, that drivers aren't necessarily challenging him so far. I think now you're going to see Jacob Wilkerson try to bring the Power Smash crew with, and you can see Brandon Dugan not hesitant in the slightest to look 3 wide and maybe even take it. River Page now is going to see whether or not he can follow through and keep the team in mind. As it stands right now, it looks like the 3 wide maneuver not going to see any immediate benefits, but instead you'll see drivers coming through, this time by double file. Looks like aggression not going to be rewarded if it comes in very small groupings, and Jimmy Thurston, he's fading back now. He finds himself 14th from what was a top 10 running position. So perhaps a little bit more to come from Thurston now as he gets back on the way, rounding through turns 3 and 4. He'll have to put the power down again to collect himself and connect with teammates. There's Chase Schaefer. Schaefer's up to 15th now. He's up 13 on the day, but only up 5 in the past 10 laps. So overall, being a little bit more patient in the last few. And these numbers, which you'll see on the bottom of your screen, will show you he's been making gains. It looks like instead of staying in the backpack, he's decided to get himself up to leaders just to maintain a relevant draft. You don't want to have anyone who's bad at pushing and shoving leading you here, so I think that although Chase Schaefer definitely doesn't want to end up in that hornet's nest and wrecked out, he's going to decide to stay right behind it for fear that the drivers behind him will not lead him in the right path. Antonio Mancini loose on his own here. That's very concerning. Let's see whether or not Antonio can pull it back together, as it looks like he does with a little less of that dirty air influence around him. He's fading back, and Chase Schaefer might be looking for a way around him and maybe a chance to get up inside that hornet's nest, which it seems he's adamant about avoiding, but maybe he does not want to get caught out here on the very back end of it rather than anything else, trying to get in the mix. Might be the new move now for Chase Schaefer as a River Page comes with Brendan Dugan. Aiden Walker side by side with Sean Rowe. Moreover, Brandon Dugan right there, 3 wide once again. And as soon as we said 3 wide would not be favored, well, it goes away. Here you go again. Now to Vincent Guecci leading a dying third groove. The top 2 lanes, inside, middle, they have been premier tonight, and they have been seldom shut down by any driver or outside force. Big incident in the back. It looks like now Antonio Mancini involved. River Page as well. First yellow flag on the day. That it appears to be. Caution is out. River Page, among others, involved in this incident, and Mancini was too. Caution. Let's take a look back now and find out what happened for our first yellow flag of the season. Just about 20 laps in here, drivers are expected to come down a pit road. Antonio Mancini looked to be involved in this one from the jump. It looks like, first off, the 79 and 96. So, Jim Thurston get involved there with Ari Tolliver. Then, River Page and Antonio Mancini were caught up as collateral. Spinning Hunter Bogdan gets out of the way too. Maybe a 5-driver incident has already got involved there with Thurston, and as such, the caution going to fly to open up this race. A 20-some lap stint under green, but going to be coming to a standstill now, as we'll take one more replay back and see who caused what with the first 2 drivers involved in the incident, Thurston and Tolliver. Across the line, side by side, looks like Ari comes up, Thurston maybe slightly down, and that racing incident's going to bring the field to a standstill under yellow to open the day. Beaver Serrano just gets out of the way, as does Xander McKinney, and while the rest of the field looks to make it through just fine, an early scatter in the first fifth of this race brings us down to pacing once more. Caution is out. It should be survivable damage for every driver in the field, and even if they use a faster pair, don't expect all too many to need it now, as Daniel Mosteller is your overall race leader. Demos now with a chance to head down a pit road. What does he decide? Could influence everyone else here, and the 87 looks down low and commits. Pit road going to become busy for the first time this season, and Daniel Mosteller going to do the honors and bring the field down and in, as now it's time to figure out how strategy plays a part in tonight's race. First pit stop for everyone here, and it's most likely they will still need that second no matter how long they decide to stretch it. So, take a look at the pit exit camera up and in front. Mosteller going to make his way into his stall. Now River Page is going to be coming through this time by, and drivers are already leaving here. And it looks like Brendan Dugan has himself up to the head of the field. Then Braxton Whitaker, Chase Schaefer, Ari Tolliver right there on your screen. And the number 69 of Fyodor Dovchenko is going to be 5th with Nathan Palawada, Jacob Wilkerson, Sean Rowe, Jesse Martinez, Daniel Mosteller concluding the top 10. Foreign fuel looks to be very much the way to go. One driver going to be in a little bit of trouble in the back, and that looks to be Hunter Bogdan, as he is still going to find himself just out of short, and it looks like just out of space. Now he makes it into his stall, and it looks like Hunter will continue his regularly scheduled pit stop service, as meanwhile at the front of the field we'll take a look right back up to the men that lead the way, and looks like Brendan Dugan no longer up there. It's going to be Vincent Guecci who got it out of pit road first, and the 88 is on top. Pacing now to open up the season. A lot of fan support now in the chat room. Our cat rooting for Henry Kaloff. Jay Carter looking for, of course, Carter to get it done. And right now, both drivers still going to be on the circuit. No retirees to this point. Henry Kaloff going to find himself on the timing and scoring ladder. Well, let's take a look-see. Looks like right now, top 20 on your screen. Let's take that look further back. For HKR, Michael Deitch is in 18th. His teammate, Henry Kaloff, is in 22nd, and he finds himself just within the confines of that top 25. Carter right now going to be 14th in the 006, and that is going to be a move up so far of 7 positions relative to where he started, and big moves up from 21st. As everyone comes across the line for our first restart of the day. 1 lap to green this time through as we head back at lap number 23. It'll be Braxton Whitaker down low and Vincent Guecci up top as your control car to kick it all off once again. Notably, Chase Schaefer now up inside the top 5 from 28th on the grid. Fyodor Dovchenko from 22nd to 4th. Nathan Palawada 27th up to 5th. Wonderful gains for those 3 drivers that we just mentioned there. And as you can see, all 3 of which now up inside of the top 5. It looks like now track position not as important as it was relative to the very beginning of this race. And instead, you're going to see some drivers from all manners of starts looking for the same finish. That is, of course, the race win. Vincent Guecci started today in 11th. He's been up and down the circuit so far, as low as 12th, but ever since that point, he's been very comfortable as a top 10 driver. Although Vinny maybe not going to be the best in the business at pushing and shoving, we know some of these drivers here are real super speedway aces. He's a very well-known, serviceable, all-around driver, and the New Jersey native coming down to the Southeast tonight is looking to show exactly what he's got in what could be a full-time title pursuit. Top 10 in the championship standings last season, looking to up himself and maybe go the step further this time around. Although Vinny was, for the most part-time in the playoffs, he made his mark. And of course, that lasting impression from last year going to help him out here, getting that reputation and that trust built up that much further as the field is due to come to green this time by. The iRacing official pace car is going to head down and low this time through with Guecci up in front. Green flags out now for Vinny as he's going to lead the way, getting right through the gears and a massive jump over the rest of the field. Guecci's going to lead him further on back. You see Whitaker and Chase Schaefer, but it's a big space out with drivers like, well, take a look at this, the number 45, the 40 of McKinney, Antonio Mancini as well, all around each other. Gary Jackson also in the chat room. Thank you for stopping by. Carter with an awful lot of support tonight, and the 006 making it up inside of the top 15 only for a huge shuffle, and you can see now 3 wide, the push to Chase Schaefer, it is good. Schaefer gets up to the race lead, and it's going to be Chase up and ahead for the first time tonight, leading the way from 28th on the grid. It only took him some 24 laps to get to this point. What a wonderful race it's been so far for the 99 of Schaefer to get up and away. No trouble so far with damage or anything. Now he's fighting side by side with drivers like Walker and Daniel Mosteller, looking to get the job done and collect the checkered. Demos is now going to lead. He's got Aiden Walker, Chase Schaefer, and Jacob Wilkerson right there with Schaefer able to grab that race lead for the first time tonight, and he finds himself now back in the job of pushing. Double file. Not going to see a lot of that early aggression once again. It looks like the first caution always functions as the warning shot. That's usually what we see in all sort of racing, and it looks like tonight that 3 wide action, that hunger to get up to the race lead so quickly, sort of shot down as a result of that incident. And it was only a matter of time until something or someone felt the effect of it backfiring onto him. And it looks like tonight, well, it struck first, and it didn't strike too aggressively. Matter of fact, it was quite the light hit, if anything, and everyone involved in that previous incident is still going. Right now, Thurston, you find himself just outside the top 20. Then you look back, and maybe a few of the drivers familiar are going to be in this one. Zach Trevino back on the lead lap, albeit he is still not with the draft. And then Ari Tolliver's going to be now back to pit road again, only to leave. Ari's going to go 1 lap down this time by, whereas the rest of the field keeps on kicking. And Daniel Mosteller still finds himself up and ahead. It's Demos now just ahead of the 93 Walker once more. Two by two, this time by. River Page with a little bit of a shuffle there. We'll see if anything came of it. It looks like he'll be, all things considered, quite fine. He's got himself drivers he can trust, drivers he can work with. He's got Jim Thurston, Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport driver, right around him. Not to mention, you have, of course, Brendan Dugan, something that has been seen all throughout the past season. The relationship between the 24 and the 55. They were able to grab the front row in qualifying thanks to their efforts together. And that teamwork is a major deal, of course, when drivers have someone to help. At Daytona, it goes a long way. It's not often about what you know, it's most often about who you know. At a circuit like Daytona, Talladega, even the brand new Atlanta, and SuperSpeedway Racing calls for that extra level of communication, which most drivers can't succeed at easily. It takes a different level of skill and a different type of subject. It's all about negotiating with the drivers around you, figuring out what they want, figuring out what you want, and having to talk it through. That's what makes it more of a chess game at 200 miles an hour. It's a famous phrase, but maybe often misinterpreted. Not always is the speed the danger, it's the fear of losing it. And it looks like now, Chase Schaefer, afraid of losing the race lead, he will chop down to the inside inside of the 43, taking that race lead again away from Wilkerson and keeping it to himself as he's due to come across the line back on top to kick off lap 28. Now tonight going to be perhaps the first reunion for a few drivers in IORA Cup Series competition. We mentioned a few drivers who have come back. Aaron Schugel, of course, from a part-time campaign. Aladon Contreras returning once more. Michael Deitch is able to come back from his hardware troubles, but for David Joyner, the circumstance is a little bit different. You might remember that Joyner was the former series sponsor of the IORA Cup Series in Season 3. Quantum Threat has returned once again, and it looks like Joyner back on the sim racing scene, looking to once again become one of the more competitive drivers at a series he was well known for competing in week after week. Great to have Joyner back at long last, a driver who definitely positively influenced the IORA Cup Series, allowing for high cash prizes throughout the campaign. You might remember the Quantum Quest for the Cup, not to mention the IORA World Tour, all of which was made possible by Joyner's contributions to the series. And now as he returns once again, it looks like it's about time he's got a chance to go for the checkered flag. Using a paint scheme designed by Gavin Newton and Runnins Racing Designs, it looks like now he's got himself inside the top 10, but only just looking to battle a little bit further up. Jay Schaefer did not like what he saw. He's going to drop back, as a matter of fact, and he's going to let Michael Deitch and company get right there with him. It looks like Schaefer's starting to see that more aggressive nature come right back, and it's not something you want to tempt, especially with how much time we still have remaining in this race. So good on Schaefer here, evaluating the circumstance and seeing what he has to do to succeed. You do not want to get caught up in trouble, and it looks like he's gone from front to back, and he's not going to be all too worried about doing it once again. Chase is now going to find himself outside the top 20 in a 25th now as he lets Contreras go by. He's proven already he can get up there. I don't think he's too concerned about saying that he can't or feeling that he can't, knowing now what he has in his back pocket. Those 30 laps of experience, he's seen everything from everywhere, and now it's going to be Daniel Mosteller leading on the top side, giving Jacob Wilkerson at long last that chance to control on the bottom. I'm sure now Wilkerson was looking for that chance, of course, trying to find something that can help him out. But in due time, we'll see if Jacob has anyone else who can really work with him strongly. He's got Vincent Guecci now on the bottom, but is that enough? That remains still in the minds of many drivers not a solved problem. Do they have the right people around them, or are they just surrounded by those who they can get with? Caution's out. Looks like the yellow flag going to be brought out once again, and for that reason, Ari Tolliver might have been involved once more. Here's an instant replay on your second incident of the night. Here's a look at your most recent caution. Yellow flags out, 31 laps in out of 100, your second yellow flag of the day. And after some 10 laps under green here, looks like an incident once again comes into the field. David Joyner looked to get loose, and that's what caused it. So Joyner getting down to the bottom, and it looks like he's able to save it for the most part, but the drivers behind him, not so much. Take a look one more time. This time the focus all on Joyner. And with Joyner going down to that apron all the way on the inside, Jason Cemento right there. One driver launching in the 82 machine, Andres Varras wrecked. There's the 45, Ari Tolliver, Chase Schaefer, and it looks like Aladam Contreras. And it looks like for Schaefer, he found trouble rather than escaping it. Yellow flags out. Take a look one more time on board with Schaefer and the 99. Shot up to the wall, could not avoid the incident, and he gets caught up with the number 45 and Andres Varras right there. BB Ruiz and company. Yellow flag is out once more here, and with that being said, we'll bring it right back to the lead lap footage as it looks like Schaefer able to get away from it. Every driver still rolling after that caution. Nevertheless, not going to be easy for them to return now. As you can see, Braxton Whitaker finding himself in the middle of this front pack. Jacob Wilkerson is the man on top. Expect some drivers, even who weren't part of that caution, to come down to pit road this time by and reset themselves for what's next. And most drivers now opting to take that chance, and it looks like pit road is busy once again. Let's see who makes it out here first. Wilkerson leads them in. Let's see who's got the chance to lead them once out, once more. Jacob gets it rolling, trying to beat out Daniel Mosteller. That he cannot do. Demos is going to get away from Wilkerson. Then further on back, Walker, Sean Rowe, position number 5, and Jesse Martinez, P6, with Jim Thurston, Brendan Dugan, Aaron Schugel, and lastly, Henry Kaloff to wrap up that top 10. Off of pit road once more. 33 laps in now, out of 100 here, and it looks like once again Demos gets the edge. Wasn't perhaps the first one in, but he surely was the quickest man out, and he makes that count. Getting up and ahead now with that advantage in track position will prove critical as the race progresses. Let's see now what he can do with that tool. The opportunity ahead of him going to be major with River Page. Now overall the race leader. Looks like River decided not to go down a pit road in the slightest here, doing something very different from everyone else. Maybe he'll reap the benefits from it. Perhaps trying to save a little bit more, expecting another caution within some 10 to 15 laps. And if, of course, River would be correct, he wouldn't have to worry all too much about being off-cycle. Instead, he would save an extra set of tire, wouldn't have to worry about losing track position, and fuel would not be much of a concern. 5 tire sets are allotted to drivers here today, some of which have gone through 2 so far, so maybe they should start worrying about conserving, because 30 laps in, that pace is not sustainable to get to the very end of the race. But tires at Daytona, not too important, especially with the weather conditions we have where track temperature has actually decreased by 1 degree so far. It's remained very constant, just above 80 Fahrenheit, but nothing all too crazy as it looks like River Page will bring Aiden Walker down and in, and regardless of which, River makes it into pit road one more time and has to relinquish the top spots. 1 lap to green this time by Daniel Mosteller, going to be your race leader, and alongside him, it's no longer going to be River Page, but instead, Jacob Wilkerson. Let's see now what Wilkerson can do on the top side, getting a chance to lead once again. He's been pretty good so far at being a pusher and the man who's been pushed. And I think any driver would be far from reluctant working with Wilkerson. It seems he's been able to hold himself steady and not give any driver reason to be concerned in the opening stages of this event. Two pit stops so far today. We might see the 3-stopper become the reality from here. That's ideally anyhow. 4-stopper seems a little bit more likely. Here's River Page now coming off a pit road. It looks like now a few drivers requesting some end-of-line penalties. And there's River once again back to the middle of the line. Looks like he won't lose all too much. Overall, the 24 machine has returned in 19th place. And the leaders still going to be just there ahead of him. Still sorting out who goes where. Sean Rowe going to move up in front with Aaron Schugel, and the cluster will slowly but surely become 2 orderly lines down for 3 and 4. Daniel Mosteller came in best finish in this event, 2nd place in season 4. Oh, so close to getting the checkered flag. He went from 19th to 2nd in the span of just 1 circuit. Demos could be the driver that gets it done tonight, and of course, getting a win so early would be massive for his championship outlook. Last time he was a serious title contender, it was, of course, the 2 best. Mosteller, Sean Conklin. Those 2 drivers had a wonderful time going alongside each other, and Demos was just too little too late in most events. But he's going to be a big swerver there coming into this restart zone, and 2nd restart of the night. Demos gets away, and he gets just enough of the power to be a car length clear as we now head toward turns 1 and 2. Daniel Mosteller advantageous now as he's got Jacob Wilkerson behind him and a rookie in Jesse Martinez, position number 3. Great start for all 3 of which here. You can see the inside groove really coming to its own. As we often see in SuperSpeedway Racing, the inside line often becomes the best packed up. Might not be the quickest, but the strength is in numbers, and that's what we're seeing here tonight. Aaron Schugel going to find himself to the middle groove with Henry Kaloff and Sean Rowe. Now as these drivers go 3 wide in the middle, it looks like it's a 2nd groove trying to form the battle against the juggernauts who hold the inside all to themselves. across the stripe again. Now you'll see that number 45 of BB Ruiz is perhaps the middle grounds, as you can see the 17 of Michael Deitch behind him. A little bit of a gap though. Ruiz runs in 11th, and then you got 3/10 back Michael Deitch. Packs are beginning to separate, only 36 laps in, and perhaps this is when we begin to see drivers with conflicting attitudes, or contrasting attitudes, shall we say. No real conflict right now. It looks like they're all playing somewhat nice, but if you don't want to stay up in front, there's no reason not to. Just deciding to lay back might be the move now for many more drivers. They saw that second caution. I don't think they want to get involved in another. I think at this point now, expect the next 25 to 30 laps to be more about riding around and the focus being on preservation. That time by, it looks like the field is going to be running still at the speed of some 47-second laps. 46.3 that time by for Jim Thurston. For Daniel Mosteller, he ran a 46.922, and he's the man who leads the field, so it looks like a spread of some 1 second from front to back. Big wiggle there for Jesse Martinez. The rookie's going to be able to keep himself straight, but he barely gets enough room to get up in there and merge back in. Rock Papita, 1690 in the chat room as well. The 006 with more fan support. Passing by the 82, another rookie. Looks like Carter now going to find himself another fan in chat running right now. Let's take a look a little bit further back and figure out exactly where. 26 that time by at the line, and for the 006 machine, looks like trying that Chase Schaefer strategy of hanging back and remaining there. Schaefer has sort of abandoned it, and it looks like now he's having a little bit more fun riding up in front, although he got caught with a little bit more trouble early. Looks like instead tonight, he's not going to be afraid of getting involved as the race progresses. Now, so far, Chase Schaefer, you can see, got that front end damage fixed, and from that point onward, he's hoping not to use any more damage repair, but the fast repair, what we often talk about, is what all drivers have to be looking toward saving. And right now, as you can take a look, most of the top 15 has not yet used any fast repair, as has Chase Schaefer not. So it looks like he's been able to keep things clean without having to worry about going down to pit road for that fast repair. It's a second chance. It's useful, but you don't want to use it so early. And since now the IORA Cup Series is down to only having one fast repair, if you use it and you get involved in another incident, your race is over just like that. 28 drivers took the green flag today. Austin Barnett registered, however, was not able to get to the green flag. He did not start the race with us. Looks like Jesse Martinez now is going to relinquish his position, and he's going to be skirting by in the grass. Is he going to make a safe merge up? Yes, but it's still a little bit risky as drivers have to fly right by him on the high side. Jesse Martinez, not a rookie error, but definitely signs of a rookie driving that machine, as he nearly got himself involved with the field in the back half and could have caused big trouble. He will go from second this time by and fade all the way down the pylon to 24th in just a span of 2.5 miles. 40 laps in, out of 100 now. Drivers are still going to find themselves in very similar positions with regards to running order in these past 5 or 6 laps. Very little has changed, and I think they're more comfortable with that being the case than not. It's going to be Sean Rowe now working with Brendan Dugan. You see Jacob Wilkerson coming up there with Aaron Schugel, and Schugel is a driver chasing a championship on FTN. He'll be racing alongside his JFR teammate Corey Lyles for the Prodigy Racing Association Legacy Truck Series title. Brought to you by Simpulse Paintworks and FTN. Tomorrow night, Aaron Schugel will be racing once again on the network in a season finale worth watching. It's going to be exciting as ever back in Homestead, Miami Speedway. Schugel and Lyles have been the class of the field there, and while right now Schugel doesn't have the 56 to work with, he's showing that JFR speed once again. And he finds himself rather lonely on the high side. The question for him, though, is beyond today. What's left for tomorrow? The championship race is on the line, and both he and Lyles are the favorites, although he'll have to go up against 2 other drivers in the Final 4 who have been dark horses all season long, Chris Mullins and Rodney Roberts. We'll see what happens tomorrow night on FTN, and you got to stay tuned to figure out as well, as we will keep you up to date from flag to flag and racing to finish off the inaugural season of the Legacy Legacy Truck Series. So click like on the stream, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. We're getting real close now to 2,300 subscribers, and this has been the summer of FTN, blowing expectations out of the water. We've gotten some 500 plus subscribers over the summer, which is the quickest movement we've had all throughout one season in channel history. So you're a part of that history as well. Click like on the stream, subscribe to the channel. We are just getting started and looking to keep our progress moving to the end of 2024. The goal for this year was 2,000 subscribers. Well, I'll tell you this much, you all made it easy to get there, and we got there fast. Now what's next on the table? The big 3,000, a number we're hoping to reach sometime soon. With your support, that's something we can do. Brendan Dugan now, with the help of Jacob Wilkerson, has done something for his own right. He's gotten the race lead. While not with River Page, it looks like the 55 is holding his own and formidable on the high side. Dugan prevails up top. Sean Rowe's going to find himself now toe-to-toe with the 55. Jacob Wilkerson going to see a few drivers break out from beneath them. It looks like that's going to be Antonio Mancini and Daniel Mosteller working with each other. Interesting combination, and I'm surprised it's going to come together like that. It looks like, yeah, Mancini may fall back a little bit quicker than Demos did, but surprising to see those two drivers break out like that in the first place, especially given their history. A lot of these drivers have raced each other for several years now, and when it comes down to how they refer to each other as drivers, well, Daniel Mosteller, known as a superspeedway ace. He's been in some of the highest strength of field superspeedway lobbies throughout all of simulation racing. His iRating, well, it'll show you. The numbers might not mean everything, but Daniel Mosteller, he's got the numbers to back up his skill. 7,100 iRating to this point, and that's a number that's been only growing and growing all throughout his sim racing career. We have many 6,000 plus drivers in the field, and that many more who are above the total of now 4,000. But 4,000 is a low bar for a guy like Jim Thurston, who has a 7,300 iRating. Keep in mind, that's one of the top 150 on the platform as a whole in the oval category. And it looks like we have two drivers above the 7,000 threshold here with us tonight, and even more so above 6K. Let's talk more about those drivers who have broken through and shown exactly what it means to be dedicated to the sim. How about with 6,084, Chase Schaefer now in the number 99. In addition, 6,280 running right there in the mix for the championship. Of course, he's due to be. That's Jacob Wilkerson right now fighting side by side for the race lead. 6,000 and 7,000, numbers that are hard to beat on iRacing, and the numbers don't mean everything at a super speedway, but those are some drivers to look out for even when the season comes down to the tail end. Expect 5 or 6 drivers to break away from the rest consistently on the campaign. We saw it last season with drivers like Schaefer, Page, Thurston, Wilkerson, a little bit of Joe Armstrong too. Season 4 was a head-to-head. It came down to Sean Conklin and Daniel Mosteller. They simply put were the best drivers, and some drivers remain as relics from that time. Braxton Whitaker is one of which, and Whitaker is still chasing that first career victory. Expected to come sometime in the future with the way he's been dedicated as a big shuffle up at the front of the field. Brendan Dugan, Sean Rowe, Jim Thurston, and everyone else gets real loose. Luckily, they're able to keep it together, but you can see the wiggling was all around the field from top to bottom. You would have thought there was an even bigger problem, but luckily everyone keeps it straight and doesn't have to worry all too much about what just occurred. Mancini loose once again, and it looks like Antonio once again drops down to the apron. Luckily doesn't cause any additional problems, but it is clear now a few drivers may be a little bit less comfortable in the situation they're given. Let's see which ones of which, of course, have a chance to break out and prevail, or who ends up on the record tonight. So far, it looks like Mancini's going to find himself racing down that back straightaway just fine for the time being. Does not look like he's caught up all too much with the issues at hand. And he's going to keep on going despite wiggling back and forth here. Also, here comes the number 88 machine again of Vincent Guecci, 11th to 6th now, and while he's been as high as the race lead previously, looks like he's still consistently going to keep fighting and biding his time all at once to hang tough inside of the top 5. Guecci that time through to score in 6th yet again, but he is inching up on the best opportunity he's had all year long, of course, fighting for a race win. Guecci has been quick, but he has not been all too consistent. Something we say about many drivers in this field, but with the race lengths we have in IORA, that's most likely just the most important way to go about things. Consistency. You can be quick. You can definitely get those pole positions to your liking. You can, of course, try to be more aggressive than anyone else or anything else, but if you make one wrong move, there's not a lot of time for you to recover. These races are oftentimes under the 200-mile threshold, and even when they're above 200, that's on a very, very rare circumstance or case, and drivers don't get much a chance to experience that. Short form racing is what this is all about, and the field gets used to it. But tonight, things are different. With 250 miles and 100 laps, the IORA 250 in all its variants has been the end-all, be-all race for length, attrition, and of course, endurance. And all league members, if they've been here long enough, they've experienced it at least once from the perspective of the driver. Now coming forth, the 55 machine of Brendan Dugan, going to be with the 19 of Sean Rowe. First line, the inside line, they've got the race lead yet again. They are stacked all the way down to the tail end of the field here. You can see the middle is still relatively well put together. There's drivers there who are definitely trying to make an active push up in front, but it's spaced out. The high side is drivers like Hunter Bogdan at the back end of it right now, who are running about 5 or 6 rows deep. 5 or 6 rows deep on the inside, you've got Jacob Wilkerson. There's a lot more confidence right now on the inside and how it's going to keep on progressing, and making that decision of where to go does often come down to the drivers more so than the line and its specific advantages. Yes, you can build a lot more momentum on that high side. That's why Brandon Dugan, I figure, has stayed there. He's comfortable now with Henry Kaloff, and they're working together quite well. Working well enough now for Brandon Dugan to take the overall lead. Row, very big slide, and now we got trouble. Jacob Wilkerson going to end up tagged. 69 machine goes right up, and we've got a yellow flag out on the field. Caution. For the third time tonight, halfway point brings trouble, and let's see who in particular caused that. Beaver Serrano just gets away. There's Antonio Mancini, and coming across the line, BB Ruiz just making it back. Jason Cimento there, Jesse Martinez. We're going to run the tapes back here and figure out what in particular caused that incident. There's Aaron Schugel, and his front end is destroyed. Here's an instant replay. It will show you just what happened here as we go back on the FTN Rewind machine and take a look at our third yellow flag of the day. And now with the instant replay in mind, drivers already backing it down by this point, as you can see. And it looks like Vincent Guecci is going to get credit for that incident here. So as Guecci gets by, he's going to be one of the reasons. So let's take a look back here and figure out what in particular led to Guecci getting the blame. L1 penalty for Vincent Guecci. Going to be the first L1 of the season dealt to the 88. And it looks like he's riding there with Henry Kaloff. Wiggles up, stays there, and only to come a little bit further back down. Minor pushes and shoves back and forth through 1 and 2, but it's through 3 and 4 where the problem comes out into its own. So let's see now what happens as we enter the second half of this race. Drivers are making it way down the straight here, and the incident occurs at this moment. Contact between Thurston and Guecci. Vinny tries to hold forward, and it looks like that he does, but the rest of the field comes apart rather fast. Sean Rowe ends up sliding. Then you see there Jacob Wilkerson, Antonio Mancini having to duck and dodge. River Page there too. Luckily, mostly minor damage. Fyodor Dovchenko might have gotten the worst of it, and let's take a look on board now with Fyodor and see what happened with him as we take a look back on board with the number 69. And you could see there, Fyodor Dovchenko banged up bad in that incident, and the 69 gonna have to come through nevertheless. As we'll take a look back up to your live feed here, pit road gets relatively busy once again, and Henry Kaloff scored as your race leader that time by. Henry gonna be on top of the board, only for him to come down to pit road here and now, and so it looks like Brendan Dugan will be the race leader with 49 laps remaining. A little bit of time in between the action here live on FTN, so we're gonna take a little bit of a step back and give you a word from from our friends at iRacing Motorsport Simulations. For 16 plus years now, iRacing has led and pioneered the frontier of online simulation racing with more than 100,000 active users across multiple racing disciplines. iRacing.com is the place to go for virtual simulation racing experiences for stock car racing, open wheel, endurance, dirt, road and oval, all types, all tracks, all cars. Visit iRacing.com for more information today as we will return after a message from our friends at iRacing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
48 laps remaining, pit road going to be emptied once again, and a new driver at the head of the field. Take a look now at Braxton Whitaker, who finds himself now up on top. With them, you'll see there, the 55 machine, that is Brendan Dugan. Once again, the front row puts together, but a different string of faces each and every time by. This time around, for TH Designs, Whitaker is the man on top of the board. And let's see what Braxton can do. He's run this paint scheme now for a little over 2 full seasons, and you might know it well, maybe not by name anyway, but it's returned yet again. The Blue Bird at the head of the field, and the 51 due to bring it to victory lane eventually. He's been here since season 1, a proud supporter of the IORA Cup Series since its inception, and has watched this league grow and blossom to this point. Maybe this time, he's the man who gets it done when all the dust settles at the end of this event. Still a lot of time until that dust comes to pass. By the start-finish line, 48 laps to go until the checkered flag will fall. Third restart of the day here. Braxton Whitaker getting the man in control of it, and he's got Brendan Dugan right there beside him, ready to lead the field all over again. iRacing official pace car says goodbye, and we say hello to the second half of this race. Green flag's out. Whitaker with a nice jump, and we're underway again. 47 laps to go. Braxton gets through with a nice jump up in front. And so now, Whitaker's going to be advantageous, getting that race lead, but only just. He's got Brendan Dugan still right to his side, and both drivers are going to power through in the opening corners and get away for the rest of the field here. The sun has fully set. If you couldn't tell already, well, there's the observation of the day. It is a day-to-night race, and we have officially hit the point where the night is on. And the night being so young is going to give a different style of racing yet again. Take a look at how the single-file middle groove is now overall in control. They might not have the race lead fully, but you'll see now, strength is in numbers. For the first time tonight, the inside groove is not the organization that has the numbers, but instead, drivers riding that middle and maybe even going further up top, they're the drivers who control, not those just below them. Rewind perhaps a little bit further on back, and you take a look at a guy like Antonio Mancini straight in the middle of it. Got Zach Trevino, also going to have Sean Rowe and Aaron Schugel right there as well. Might be 3 wide now in the mid-pack. However, the front group and the portions who lead the way have decided to go a little bit for a calmer approach, at least for the time being, expecting drivers to preserve themselves up at the head of the field rather than giving everything up and falling into trouble. Brendan Dugan now comes across the straight and the stripe. Now, 45 laps to go this time by, and so far, Brendan has led 8 laps as the yellow flag flies yet again back of the field. Aladam Contreras, among others, pile driving into the infield road course. Yellow flag is out, and Contreras has trouble among quite a few others here. Let's take a look back. Contreras, bad news for the 92. This is your instant replay on the matter. So take a look at this now. The number 92 machine of Aladam Contreras sees Mancini get in the wall with Guecci. Then Vinny gets right up the track. Oh, Hunter Bogdan hits Contreras, and then Jacob Wilkerson slides. Barely gets away. Looks like Jacques Carter also involved, and the triple-digit threat is destroyed. Hunter Bogdan, interestingly enough, maybe could avoid it. Nevertheless, he's involved, and we'll see whether or not that was because of someone else's doing or because of his own. Let's find out again. Hunter Bogdan is destroyed, yes, but maybe something else happened there before he piled in to the incident. Take a look back now. There's Hunter Bogdan already destroyed. If you look a few seconds back, though, things are a little bit different for Hunter. As you ride on board, did he ever take his foot off the pedal? That's the question I'm asking here. Yes, but he stayed up top. And Hunter Bogdan is destroyed as a result. The motor's gone. He had to tow it out of the way. And it looks like now as the leaders get through again, another multi-car incident. Hunter Bogdan involved with Vincent Guecci, Antonio Mancini. It looked like alongside them as well. 43, Jacob Wilkerson, and nevertheless, cautions out again with 44 laps to go. And so pit road gonna get busy here as drivers once again have an opportunity to head down and in. Not expecting all too many drivers to go down and in and be takers this time by, maybe a few of which, but those who have track position have very little reason up and in front. Brandon Dugan decides to, and it looks like he's going to change up the tone of everyone real quick. Dugan's going to bring with them a litany of others, and take a look at this now. Majority of the field decides to go down in after what was only some 10 or 15 laps. So now pit road's going to get very busy here as the field gets in once again, deciding to splash for fuel, and the leader of this race at the line for time and scoring was Chase Schaefer. Page and Dugan once again get back out up and in front once more. They've got the clear-cut advantage getting out of the way with their top two stalls, and Chase Schaefer now coming down and in will escape as Braxton Whitaker gets on the way as well. The 99 machine up and ahead with Braxton second and third David Joyner. Not seeing much use in going down to pit road again after such a short stint. That's going to give Chase the race lead, and it looks like he's leading laps from 28th on the grid once again. An exciting start to the day for Chase Schaefer, not hoping to get involved with another incident as he did before. Most incidents have been concentrated in the back portion of the field. And now, hoping to avoid that carnage, Chase Schaefer finds himself the one place he's rejected all race long, the top spot. Let's see now what the driver, the number 99, Chase Schaefer, can do up at the head of the field. Then you got Braxton Whitaker, Joyner, Dugan and company. River Page is the first off pit road to be in fifth, and Fyodor Dovchenko in the number 69. Well, he's back up here in the fourth spot. What a way to move up from that most recent incident he was involved in. Looks like he took the fast repair and brings himself back to life. Now, we often say you want to split the way you use fast repairs in your worst case scenario, but even then, not really the best thing to do to split it. You usually want that fast repair for maybe the final 10 or less than that laps. Having to go with that one for 40-some laps in an environment where drivers still have it, dangerous. The reason being, they will drive like they still have a fast repair. They won't drive like they have to keep their car completely clean. There's always a second chance for those who hold the fast repair. But for those who don't, game over if something terminal enough happens. So a dangerous position to be in right now if you are Braxton Whitaker, if you are maybe another driver who's of course up there, but regardless of which, if you have not used your fast repair, the danger is significantly less. So BB Ruiz, the number 45, he'll have to worry a little bit more. Aaron Schugel, most definitely also going to have to keep an eye out there. If you've used it so far, you're down to your last life, so to speak. 41 laps to go. Yes, we made it past the halfway point of this race. But we've also got a load of time still remaining. Doesn't mean the job is done yet. In all honesty, it's only just begun here. Watch out. Time to see whether or not drivers get aggressive in this third act, which is coming very soon. Or if they decide to let up just a little bit, be nice, and move forth with a little bit more patience and grace before getting down to those final laps where you know no matter what, it's going to get wild. Double file this time by for restart number 5. Jay Schaefer from the back of the field on up, getting his chance once again as a race leader. Let's see what this time by he does with it. Does he decide to lead or leave? The pack, he's got two choices. Ari Tolliver is going to be complaining this time around about it looks like iRacing not giving him the fuel, the auto fuel system, sometimes fickle. Some drivers are using it, some drivers are not. And Ari, one of which who decided perhaps to use it, and he's going to have to head down to pit road again and lose that much more track position, or try to tough it out here for the next few laps and hopefully get lucky. Chase Schaefer, a man on a mission, leading once again tonight, will bring the field back to green. Here we go again. 41 laps to go. Schaefer with a race lead, and behind him he's got David Joyner pushing into turn 1. Watch now as drivers like Brendan Dugan and River Page get a chance once again to reestablish themselves up and in front. Cautions have been flying at the tail end of the field for the majority of the night here, but the front runners have done a real good job of staying calm, staying collected, and that's the biggest advantage any driver can have. If you're able to hold yourself to a pretty high standard of keeping it clean and not getting involved in all too many additional troubles, then you'll be in a good spot all throughout. Lap in, lap out, though, that remains the big question. What can you do to hold forward even if the drivers around you are aggressive? Well, in the case of some drivers, moving back is the best thing you can do. But what if you don't want to move back? Maybe the inside line, that's the reason there's so much strength in numbers, because while you don't move back, you can move out as quick as they come. If you're stuck up there in that middle groove like Brendan Dugan is, for instance, if there's a wreck and it comes down, it might ricochet back up on you. There's only so much up you can go until you hit that wall and catch fence. But if you go down, there's the apron, there's the grass. You can head all the way down to the infield tarmac if you really get the right drive on it, or to pit road, where if there's a big incident and it's excusable anyway, you could head down there and really not face any repercussion. The inside is strength in numbers because it also provides that safety, which the outside, simply put, cannot give a driver, no matter how they feel, no matter where they are. If you're right beside a driver, if you're boxed in, you're in a less safe position. That's as simple as it gets. You just have to make sure, or you have to hope anyway, you got drivers you can trust around you. Drivers you don't have to worry about 24/7. And that's why, right now, the inside groove is so well numbered, and the middle groove, not so much. And forget about that third lane. It only comes in when people are desperate and absolutely needing to make up positions. That's why right now, you don't really see all too many drivers deciding to go for that maneuver. Double file at the very most for now, after the lessons learned. Triple, well, we'll see. Expected by lap 90, and expected to go until the checkered flag falls, whether drivers like it or not. You might even see 4 wide. It's going to be rare, but there is an opportunity presented to drivers to take it forward through these opening turns. Now, it's risky, and you need to be just about perfect to do it, but if you lined up these cars width to width, you could go 4 wide without contact, and that is not including the double yellow lines line below. You don't have to go down to the apron to make that stick. You could even do it on the track through the turns and by the straightaways. Now, it's definitely something that we frown upon because it most likely ends up in an incident, but if a driver's really needy, we might see 4 wide racing to the very end of this race, and it'll be that much more exciting for the viewers. Maybe it won't be too very well meaning, well taken for the drivers on the field. Now Brendan Dugan's going to have himself the race lead. He's got Chase Schaefer behind him. Zach Trevino is up into the 4th position. And I believe for the first time tonight, it's going to be Zach up inside of the top 5. His previous high was in 5th. He went down to as low as 28th. And of course, he started in 15th. So Zach has been all around the field tonight. He's been able to experience most everything. And he finds himself now not in a bad position at all. And actually, he's pushing his way up to the race lead in 2nd, and he's got David Joyner moving fast to get right up there within the confines of the podium. And now Joyner's going to be leading. Zach Trevino's going to be 2nd. Take a ride on board now with the 49, who runs in the highest spot he's been all night long. Position number 2 for the 49 of Zach Trevino. Zach right now going to see contact between David Joyner and River Page, and how quickly the mighty have fallen. Joyner now no longer to be the line leader, but instead several rows of drivers have gotten by him, and even more so have gotten by Zach Trevino. You're taking a look at that telemetry right now, which isn't really estimating all too much between throttle and brake input. And that's because these drivers are at a relatively constant speed, but don't expect them to be loud on the pedal all throughout. The telemetry gives you more proof into anything that some drivers are indeed laying off, but those up in front who are leading, no way they are. That's the one other thing about leading a line right now, such as what Brendan Dugan is doing. He is going to be flat-footing it even if he does not want to flat-foot it. He doesn't have draft, he has nobody to really pull himself on, and instead, he's going to be the driver everyone pulls on. Chase Schaefer up to the wall there, and Chase Schaefer turned! Contact! Braxton Whitaker gets involved with Chase Schaefer, yellow flags out yet again. Oh, the 99, what looked to be small, almost negligible contact. And it looks like that might be Chase Schaefer's one and only fast repair down the drain here. Let's take a look back now as the yellow flag is out again. And the 99 of Chase Schaefer seeing all that go down the drain. Well, let's figure out first and foremost what caused it. Looks like an incident that was just beyond the leaders. Braxton Whitaker getting up there with Chase Schaefer, and quarter panel contact. That's what brings the 99 down, hitting Henry Kaloff, nearly getting his HKR teammate, and then the 82, the rookie Andres Ferraz, contact with Kaloff again. That will shoot the 82 into the grass, nearly collecting Aladam Contreras and Hunter Bogdan, but again, Schaefer gets the worst of it and just able to get out of it there. Henry Kaloff with some damage as well, taking up the front end, and another incident, small in nature, but it ended up grander in scale than anyone would have anticipated. Yellow flags out once again, and we have ourselves now our 6th caution of the day. Chase Schaefer unfortunately finds misfortune once more. Ari Tolliver going to retire, and it looks like the 2nd retiree of the night. After 34 laps to go, expecting pit road to become very busy again. Maybe some drivers deciding to opt out, Brendan Dugan one of which. But everyone else, they're going to go in, and a late committing call by Jim Thurston. Everyone else makes it a little bit more obvious, but it looks like Dugan is going to do something much different here, as everyone else in the field from 2nd on down has decided to let the 55 stay and be lonely. Let's see who gets out first here as pit road becomes a madhouse. Thurston on the way rather quickly, going to beat everyone else out, and just like that, it'll be Thurston scored now in the overall 3rd position. You got River Page P2, Zach Trevino is going to be 4th, Xander McKinney 5th, and Nathan Palawana is going to be 6th, with Fyodor Dovchenko, Daniel Mosteller, Aiden Walker, and Jacob Wilkerson concluding the top 10 as it stands. 33 laps to go, and it looks like once again a big reset. Some drivers staying on pit roads, such as, well, you see there, the 51 of Braxton Whitaker. And penalties are due to be decided upon for that incident. Most likely, the incident going to be given fault to Braxton Whitaker. That has not yet officially been determined, mind you. However, it looks like in the coming moments we will get that penalty report. As you can see, Schaefer's also on pit road himself. Yellow flag out again, 33 laps to go. Brendan Dugan going to be up there with River Page, and the top two drivers who kicked off this race as your leaders, well, they're there once more. Jim Thurston going to be P3. Fourth spot is going to be David Joyner, and fifth is no longer Hunter Bogdan. Zach Trevino, Xander McKinney make it by the both of them, and that will send Joyner down the order to 11th after figuring out everything. Positions are tallied up and ordered once again. 9:30 p.m. Eastern. If you like what you're seeing right now live on FTN, we are going to race once again very soon. It's going to be the Highline Racing League and their premier series, moving on to race 3 of season 18. So stay tuned here on FTN. A lot more coverage going to be coming at you in the first few hours of the night. It's IORA, then we finish it all off with some more highline action, and it gets much more exciting week after week as we go for the double. Zach Trevino goes down to the grass. He's in control, but it looks like he's going to slide down and lose all that position, get back on a pit road, and get back on the way. Well, for Trevino, it looks like he just decided to head down there, and it looks like he should be good to go. He'll be heading to the end of the line with an end-of-line penalty. He'll go for the dramatic route and fade back to pit road's exit. He enters and exits pit road in all of 2.8 seconds there, mind you. I'm not quite sure what he's going to get out of that one, but regardless, it looks like gets a little bit more TV time. 69 laps in out of 100. Nice race lead now, going to be handed to Jim Thurston. Page and Dugan alike decide to go down a pit road, and that's going to lead the 96 with the opportunity to hold fort and keep the top spot for himself as we head down to the very final laps of this race. We'll be coming to lap 70 this time by, and with only 30-some laps remaining, and that's still counting down. It'll be tricky now for drivers who have not yet made up that track position, although it can all flip on a dime here, so don't anticipate anyone to be too stressed yet. Maybe the most stress will be found up leading the way. Don't want to end up like Chase Schaefer, Braxton Whitaker, and company in that last incident. That would be race ending. The big one still yet to happen here from Daytona. A lot of what-ifs still on the table. We'll find out what remains of the field in the last few laps here as we go green in lap number 70. It'll be Jim Thurston down low, Aiden Walker with the high side occupied. And here we go again. Single file for the majority of the field who just came out of pit road, but it's going to be green flag for Jim Thurston leading his first restart of the season, and he's alongside Aiden Walker, 1-2 combo with 31 laps to go, heading into the first two turns. Well, this time by, everyone's going to be single file. And in large part, that's because look at the separation across different groups and packs. Xander McKinney right now going to be 12th, and it's almost as if he's barely with the leaders. Then you look back to a guy like Henry Kaloff or Aaron Schugel. He's going to be in a 1 or 2 car pack here, maybe 3 with Aladam Contreras included, and nearly a full second gap to those on front, and then those on back like River Page and company. They've got to stack up too. Now you're going to see maybe a few laps of a lull period where drivers decide, most importantly, let's get back together, then we race again. Chase Schaefer looks to be retiring from this event. He's 5 laps down and is disconnected for the second time. Looks like he's deciding day done. He's heading out of here now with 30 laps to go. Jim Thurston's going to lead now in this little bit of a lull as everyone gets back together. And it's going to be some 20 drivers still with us, 23 overall on the lead lap. Looks like Braxton Whitaker, though, has lost the draft. So with that being said, here's now the number 96, leading 60 thousandths up on Aiden Walker, who's pushing right behind at full speed. 188 miles an hour exiting that final corner. Blistering lap speeds from everyone in the field now. Xander McKinney looks low, has to come up top to assimilate again. He almost looked like he was going to give up some position and maybe primed himself to do so. But doing it through a corner, even though it is, yes, just the front straightaway in the tri-oval, risky. I think if anything, we'll see what McKinney decides to do as we come down the back straight this time by, whether he decides to purposefully give in and give up positions, or decides to stay here with Aaron Schugel, some familiar company. Up to him, but the decision has not yet fully been made, and he stays right behind now the driver, the number 12, Jason Semedo, and it looks like the JFR drivers at long last have found each other once more. Here comes now Sean Rowe, and he's got with them Vincent Guecci. Vinny's going to be coming with Sean rather quick, 19th and 20th, and while they are a head full of steam together in the back, really nothing that proves that they can do much with it without going to the third line. Mason Moriarty just gave Chase Schaefer a black flag, even though he looks to have retired, so we'll see why that was given out. Looks like he's still trying to figure out the formatting of the penalties and whatnot. See whether or not Chase gets the official penalty from that incident. 3 wide now and left up at the front of the field. A lull no longer. We mentioned River Page and company were some 3 seconds back. Now they're what, 300ths back? It's going to be the 24 up top, and Dugan with Demos decides to go down to the bottom and now blocks way down low. Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports is now going to have the middle and top fully occupied. You got the 78 of Nathan Palawada. You got the 96 of Jim Thurston. Dugan and River Page, who have been almost their own duo in their own right. Chase Schaefer has returned once again, so it looks like he should be good to go. And that black flag not given for penalty purposes, but instead just to get him back on the way without any further problems. Now it looks like PSISM, PSISM as they often say, is the race leading team. Daniel Mosteller is still the race leading driver. And now as their double file, it looks like Aiden Walker is deciding to rain on that parade. Let's see now what Walker can do with this 93. Getting a chance to occupy the top spot for the very first time only a few laps ago. Walker has gotten a chance to be up there attempting to lead laps. Daniel Mosteller, of course, no stranger to it, but for Aiden Walker, still not getting all too many opportunities. Of the 75 completed laps we've run so far, Walker has only officially led one of which, and has gotten time leading in just about 5 overall. This would be his 6th of which, and maybe his 2nd if he brings it to the stripe. But he won't be able to, at least for now. There's Jacob Wilkerson. Wilkerson gets up now to the 2nd spot. Wiggle with fire to Dovchenko, and it looks like Jesse Martinez, the rookie in Martinez and Dovchenko alike. It's a pairing of brand new drivers and brand new talent, and they just bobble back and forth, while very little, not something you want to see from the drivers who you have to trust up and ahead. With 25 laps to go this time by, the final quarter is approaching very soon. Now, it looks like 2x2 once again becomes the gold standard here in the field. Everyone trying to figure out what can be done now with the final few laps on the line. 25 laps to go. Keep in mind there is a cash prize for victory tonight, and it will be a $25 reward for all those who are able to make it to the end and, of course, win. But there can only be one race winner, so at the same time, it's a bit ironic that so many drivers have had the chance to lead. Only one will get the prize for victory here tonight. $25 on the table for the checkered flag to open the season. And Daniel Mosteller, I'm sure, has his sights set on such a bonus. He will lead as we come past the 25 to go point and move on with 24 laps left. Aiden Walker pushes him out in the head. Daniel Mosteller decides to push to go to the inside. And with them now is Nathan Palawada once more. Jacob Wilkerson hangs tough, holds tight on that high side. He's going to decide to work with the drivers around him rather than trying to move immediately. And it looks like River Page, no sight of Brandon Dugan, at least for now, has to wait once again for maybe the right opportunity. But at this point, you got to go beyond the drivers you're comfortable with to have a chance at winning tonight. Success comes from breaking that boundary at Daytona. And while communication is a great deal, oftentimes, things don't go your way in the last lap. Perhaps your teammate's already wrecked out of the race, far too distant from you. You gotta make up your own way. You gotta find your own route, and that individuality oftentimes tricks up drivers with only 23 laps to go. And this time by, we're gonna be going down to 22 laps remaining, in which we're gonna crank it up with iRacing's best camera provider. TrackCams22.com provides high-quality iRacing cameras for most of the entire simulation platform, from cars and tracks and anything in between. Get your best iRacing cameras from the best provider, TrackCams for Gourmets. Visit TrackCams22.com or Facebook.com/TrackCams, as we are going to get loud and proud here from the high banks of Daytona. Let's crank it up now with 22 laps to go, courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com. 16 laps to go. The final countdown is here, and River Page will lead once again. Your pole sitter and defending champion once again finds himself up to the top of the board. Welcome back to the final stretch of racing here in the Season 6 opener in the IORA Cup Series. Competition has been tense all night long. No matter how you slice, the best drivers have made their way up to the top of the field, and the rest of which, unfortunately, some have retired. The rest of which, of course, find themselves a little bit further down the pylon, still trying to make an impact and make a name for themselves in this season. Daniel Mosteller once again takes that top spot back for his own, but it's going to be a swap back and forth, expecting consistent drivers to, of course, have consistently similar battles. And this is the very beginning of which. One driver tonight that's been very impressive for a rookie has been Jesse Martinez, and he's right up top once again. Jesse overall today has been as high as where he is right now in third, and he started in 7th, but he's been as low as 27th on the day. Everywhere Jesse's been, from the highest to the lowest peaks and valleys, mountains, whatever you call it in between, he has seen it all, and he's now finding himself once again ahead in the most crucial moments. And the question becomes, of course, what can Jesse do with the lessons learned from the opening stint of this race, the middle portion, all the pit stop strategy and the green flag runs in between. Now, with that understanding of how this race will progress, how can a driver like the 999 Jesse Martinez make it through for his first win in his first start? Is it possible? Well, certainly it is possible, but at the same time, there's a very well opportunity for him to do so, but it's easier said than done. And what can he do to bring that doing part to life rather than just keeping it as something that's spoken of? That's the question right now that Jesse's going to have to answer. He's got some good drivers to work with, but all of which do not know his name, and that's where the difficulty sets in. Nathan Palawada, Aiden Walker, Sean Rowe, company further on back, all of which who have been here for at least a season plus, or if not, they've been in very similar circles of racing. Martinez is a relative outsider in a position where he's been quick and calm, but he isn't quite known by name. And that means more than you might think. Even, of course, with how well he's done, Martinez is going to face somewhat different treatment solely because he is a new driver in a field of largely veteran members. And while all other rookies have not done nearly as well as Jesse so far, Jesse is still in the thick of it here with 13 laps to go, and River Page now going to be carrying fourth with Jacob Wilkerson just behind him. Aiden Walker going to be right down low, and with is going to be Sean Rowe. Walker now going to find himself down low with River Page going to the inside, protecting himself on the bottom groove, and Daniel Mosteller right there to the bottom of the circuit once again. 13 laps to go, wiggling up top. Here comes River Page. He decides to swap multiple grooves in just one lap, and this is when that multiple lane blocking comes into play, which is as risky as it gets. And it looks like right now, River doing just enough to hold himself in the lead without causing any major trouble. Hunter Bogdan going to be weaving and bobbing back and forth here. You can see him with Aladam Contreras, Brandon Dugan and company. And while they're 2x2, it looks like already that late race feeling is coming into play. Not necessarily fatigue, not necessarily all too much aggression, but instead tonight, you're beginning to see these drivers start to feel the effects of going for 100 laps. This is their longest race of the season. No matter how you slice it, this is a very, very intense race, and they're starting to understand this season not going to be all about fun and games. It's also about that strategy and putting the pieces together as a driver at the best of your ability. 11 laps to go, this time by Aiden Walker, River Page, Daniel Mosteller, the top three even still. And Walker, his outside lane, has not done the best of jobs preserving the position they have. As a matter of fact, he might start to fall a little bit further down as Demos able to take that spot and move all the way up now into the race lead on the high side himself. And now, it looks like Demos has himself right down low. 93 machine is going to be, of course, Aiden Walker up top. Walker still looking for his first chance at victory in more than 2 seasons now. He was a championship contender in season 3. And that was the only season that Daniel Mosteller took off as a driver. And Walker was able to take opportunity in that season as Demos is loose at the front of the field and saves it at 180 miles an hour. River Page is loose. Up the wall goes one rookie. That's BB Ruiz. Cautions out. And with less than 10 laps to go, Page is destroyed. Ruiz is gone. Daniel Mosteller saving himself. Kicks off the biggest wreck of the day. And even still, a majority of the field looks to have gotten out of it. Let's take a look back now at BB Ruiz and River Page, both of which seem to be the prime drivers in this incident. And as we take a look up to the eye in the sky, we'll figure out what in particular caused it. Here's the number 45 machine, and Page looked to get very, very weary quick. And Ruiz tapped by Aaron Schugel. Mosteller with a wonderful save, mind you, but as Page came up the track, tapped by Jason Semedo, he'll hit his teammate. Then comes up again, the 45 of Ruiz. River Page's night might be all said and done with that one. And as such, Page going to be down low. Getting away from it was Daniel Mosteller. We're going to have to take a look on board inside the cockpit there. Mosteller, what a save! And while the yellow flag still comes out, in no small part, Mosteller played in saving the field as a whole. Take a look at the hands. Keeping it calm was the most important thing there. It almost looked casual, but the way he was sliding, you would have thought it was all said and done. Great job by Daniel Mosteller. And it looks like an L0 penalty going to River Page on that one. Jason Semedo not going to be blaming the number 24, so it looks like, regardless, fault going to be assigned to Page, however minor, and the yellow flag out once again as it looks like Page causing the most collateral out of that incident. Aiden Walker leading now with 9 laps to go. Got a little bit more time before the racing kicks on once more. And if you like what you're seeing, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, Highline Racing League begins at Kentucky. Going to be their 3rd race of the season now. And it looks like we're figuring out the session details as we speak. Looking forward to another intense night of action. The Highline Racing League heading to Kentucky for the first time in more than 4 seasons, I believe. It's not a track we see often, but it's a track we will see tonight. Mosteller stays out on the track. Jacob Wilkerson has just gotten his way down a pit road, and let's see now who makes their way out first. Opportunity on pit road is going to be given to most every driver as Walker's going to be down on the apron. Drivers are leaving pit road, and it looks like now there's Michael Deitch, and he's going to come out there with Sean Rowe. Jesse Martinez is going to be 3rd. David Joyner going to be 4th. Beaver Serrano 5th. Nathan Palawada 6th with Dovchenko, Bogdan, Semedo, and Dugan concluding the top 10. We'll go back green with 7 laps to go, it appears. Rather, 6 laps remaining. Aiden Walker, your current race leader, he's got a chance to make his own history tonight, and while it looks like he is all but alone, it's the best opportunity he's had in quite a while here. Oftentimes, Aiden Walker finds himself top 5 late in a race, only for things to potentially crumble. Whether or not it comes due to tire strategy, fuel strategy, or a late race incident, or just the pace of other drivers, Daytona, in a lot of ways, will sort of protect you from that. But it can't protect you from your own mistakes. And making those mistakes as a driver, they are lethal. You don't want to be the driver who's at fault, but you might oftentimes find yourself around the drivers who deserve that blame. And that's the issue for a guy like Walker, because he's going to be maybe leading, but he's not going to have a lot of distance. You cannot break the draft here at Daytona unless you have another great driver with you and everyone else is in shambles. You're going to be stuck. You're bound to those who are behind you. They are bound to you, and it's a game of pushing and shoving back and forth, a tug of war in racing, shall we say. Let's see what happens now as Walker decides to go up high. He'll keep it up on the top for now, and Daniel Mosteller cruises right down under as we settle ourselves in for what will be a 6-lap shootout to decide who wins tonight from the high banks. Any additional cautions that may occur tonight will send us into overtime procedure. That's another thing to watch out for. If we have a caution at all, we will go down to having 2 laps left in this race under green. We have 3 overtime attempts, and if we have a yellow flag immediately, then we will have a natural green-white checkered to stack on to our 3 green-white checkered attempts here. So a lot of time on the table for drivers to mess up, not a lot of laps. If we get to the white flag at all, keep that in mind. It always means this race is official. So drivers are going to be very wary of getting to that point because they don't want to get there wrecked and battered and bruised. But let's hope we don't get to the point where overtimes are necessary here. However, this is your 7th caution of the day, and we're getting closer and closer to needing a few extra more laps. 94 in out of 100. We're coming to lap 95 this time around, and Demos right alongside Aiden Walker. They're the men looking to lead you through for the final few laps here in Daytona. Here we go again. Demos is going to lie low. Up top, there's Aiden Walker, an iRacing pace car for perhaps the final time tonight. You bow down to pit road and let the drivers control their destiny. Yellow flag will bring us to overtime territory, but from here on out, 6 laps remain. Green flag gonna fly for Aiden Walker. Great start for him. Let's see how quickly the field catches right back up to the 93, as it's gonna be Walker and Jesse Martinez, the rookie, up in front, first and second. And so now it's going to be Daniel Mosteller barreling back on the inside line. He's got that momentum pushed by David Joyner. And now it's going to be the 85 machine for Quantum Threat, hoping to put up a threat of relative size to keep Demos ahead. Won't work. He's going to be knocked out the order. Joyner comes up. Oh, we got major trouble. Big one at Daytona. Up and over Vincent Guecci, Joyner, Dugan, Fyodorov-Shenko, Hunter Bogdan. And it's a who's who of the field. Palawada involved as well. Yellow flags out, and it starts with a tap to David Joyner. Caution is out. Take a look at this one again. It started small and ended massive. We are going to overtime. And take a look at this one. David Joyner found himself and missed the front of the field, and it looks like Beaver Serrano knocks him down. That's the first thing. Beaver's going to take the blame for that one. Palawada involved with Fyodorov-Shenko, then Dugan, then you'll see Vincent Guecci, then Jason Sonetto, Michael Deitch. Then, up the wall, Sean Rowe. Wow, what a move around. Looks like Rowe did get away from it, all things considered. Braxton Whitaker might have just as well, but about 6 or 7 drivers caught up in the main incident, and maybe a few others caught up as collateral, but Sean Rowe does a wonderful job and looks to avoid everything, despite it happening literally right in front of him. Take a look again. Riding on board with Sean Rowe in the most recent moments leading up to the wreck and the moment of impact. An L2 penalty given to Beaver Serrano as a result of the incident. Sean Rowe breaks free, and here's how. Going with the flow saves Sean Rowe, and he'll keep on driving, now up into the 4th position as a result of the wreck avoidance. Yellow flag is out once again, and with 4 laps to go here, and we are treading on dangerous territory. We might be going to artificial overtimes, but if not, it is time for our first green-white checkered, whether or not we extend this race. 4 laps to go this time by. We are expecting to see the race restart at lap number 99 if we get enough time here. If not, we'll restart lap 100 and pull forth for lap 101. Regardless, now the protocol is the same. If we get to the white flag, under any condition the race is official, and we will race to the end. No yellow flags will be thrown in the final lap. As such, drivers will get that chance to race to the checkered flag. However, if we have any yellow flags before we get to the final lap, the race will be extended for a green-white checkered finish. We have 3 attempts left at our disposal, and iRacing will give us confirmation of whether or not we are using our first this time by. However, we are optimistic in saying that the race will not be artificially extended, and we are at the bleeding edge of that point tonight. Might be the one and only time we get so late into it. It's 9:10 Eastern, and we're getting awful close to our second race of the day. Keep in mind, if you're liking what you're seeing, more Xfinity action will begin in the Highline Racing League in just about 25 minutes' time. Drivers head down to the apron, saving a little bit of fuel. Looks like pit road hit just a few laps prior. Don't expect other drivers to go down and in for it once again. Aiden Walker leads once more, and it looks like while it's not his race to lose, he's done a pretty good job in the past few laps anyway to hang tough in the lead regardless of what's happened. You can see he's been on the circuit now for 30 laps, and it looks like it will be a natural green-white checkered. Walker's up top, Demos right down low, and we're getting set to do it all over again. Jesse Martinez, the rookie, Sean Rowe down to the bottom, and look at Michael Deitch, the number 9 team machine. Of course, Sean Rowe, but the 17 for Deitch now leads Henry Kaloff Racing, and he's got a teammate not too far behind, maybe looking to pounce. HKR together, it could happen. Kaloff's in 11th, and then just ahead of him, Michael Deitch in 5th. They could make major waves. River Page has gotten back his damage repair sufficient enough to get back in the picture for maybe a chance at the checkered flag. Pole sitter, defending champion, but tonight has been a little bit more of a struggle, especially in the second half of this race. First 50 laps seemed to be more of a breeze for River, but now he's looking to be on the back foot, hoping to make something work for another race victory. Not necessarily an underdog, but he's in 7th and was as low as 26th, leading the way to kick it off. Let's see whether or not he can break through tonight. Rookies, first-time winners, veterans that are looking for their first win in several seasons, and of course, the most acclaimed driver of all, Daniel Mosteller, 2-time champ, winningest driver. Let's see whether or not the 87 can do it all over again. Now to the inside, the iRacing pace car goes. This is your first green-white checkered of the day. Lap 99, we're going to get things restarted. We get to lap 100. This race is official. Green flags out for the final 5 miles. Walker immediately jumps down low, and he'll take the lead through the opening 2 corners. Michael Deitch loose. It looks like HKR going to lose one of their drivers rather early. He will spin alone and fall out of the picture. Henry Kaloff now going to find himself an isolated man. Nevertheless, Aiden Walker leads the way with Daniel Mosteller right behind him, working down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4. Careening through the final 2 turns at the speed of 190 miles an hour, Aiden Walker blocks high, gives room to Sean Rowe right down low, only to see Mosteller drop down to the bottom. 1 lap to go. Final lap from Daytona, and you'll see Walker's wiggling. River Page goes up high, 3 wide with the rookie of Jesse Martinez to no avail. Martinez is wrecked by Page. Major contact. We stay green. All the while, Daniel Mosteller's got the race lead for his own. looking to best his top finish at the track in this league, a second 2 seasons prior, but now he's got himself up and in front. Sean Rowe with the race-winning move, perhaps right in front of him. He got out of perhaps the biggest incident of the day just 5 laps ago. Now he finds himself perhaps 5 seconds away from the checkered flag. Daniel Mosteller just ahead, has to block to the bottom, has to go right back up top. Demos holds forward on the bottom side, and that's enough to win it. Daniel Mosteller, the 2-time champ, is back in victory lane. Demos kicks off season 6 with the win from the World Center of Racing. 9th to 1st on the day, and 31 laps led. Demos, the SuperSpeedway ace, wins from Daytona. Just 54 one-thousandths of a second behind, Sean Rowe finishes there in second. Then on back, of course, you see the third-place driver in Jacob Wilkerson. What a win for Daniel Mosteller. 4th place then going to be Nathan Palawana, passed up at the tail end for Aladam Contreras. Aiden Walker finishes in 5th, a heartbreak for him, with Jim Thurston 6th, Zach Trevino in 7th, and Braxton Whitaker 8th. Nathan Palawana P9, and then 10th for Beaver Serrano with 11th place. Then and there, Andres Vargas. 12th, Jason Semedo. 13th for Henry Kaloff, and 14th, Aaron Schugel, with P15, Brendan Dugan and Hunter Bogdan. Then 16th, Xander McKinney is 17th, with Michael Deitch right there with in 18th, 19th, River Page, and Jesse Martinez, 20th. It's 21st then for David Joyner, and 22nd for Vincent Guecci. Your retirees go as follows: Fyodor Dovchenko, Bibi Ruiz, Jacques Carter, Antonio Mancini, Austin Barnett, Ari Tolliver, and Chase Schaefer. As Mosteller's due to burn down the house from Daytona, a winner again. The all-time most successful IORA driver has done it once more. Looking to help out Xander McKinney to get across the line. Daniel Mosteller, what a race for him. The 87 team have once again found a way to win. Perhaps the most unique of all, he got the track position. He didn't have to fight for it this time. And instead, he's still burning down the house as he gets down to the grass and continues to give us a wonderful celebration here. Demos earned it and then some as he comes up to the start-finish line again. And now might be kicking it in reverse. Jason Semedo comes by, trying to help out Xander McKinney that much more. That shunt will get him over the stripe at day's end. Daniel Mosteller, your winner. Let's get a word now from the driver who got it done and collected the checkered flag. Demos coming up to the start-finish line once again and still burning down the house. It's a win long awaited for the 87 team, and Mosteller, you're still celebrating, rightfully so. We're at Daytona, our biggest race year after year. What's it feel like to get it done after 250 miles?
It's a pretty awesome feeling. I haven't won one of these dang things at I don't think I've ever won a super speedway race in this league. I've won like 2 championships, so I've won basically everything, and the super speedways have always been a pretty big challenge for me. Always getting caught up in someone else's mess there, but just executed a like perfect race. I think I led the most laps, stayed up in the front like the whole time, and pulled the right moves there at the end.
Well, tonight it looks like everything went your way. You mentioned it. You led 31 laps and you had the pace. We've been waiting a long time for a chance to see you here in victory lane at one of these quick circuits. We know you're quick here, but it just hasn't worked out. So what about the strategy got you up to that point before our final green-white checkered?
Just sticking myself in the front and just being confident with my moves. Fuel was a little bit of a concern when we pit the last time with like 35 to go. You could, I think, if you were buried in the pack, you could make it because you weren't full throttle. But I stuck myself up in the front and I burned a lot more fuel, and I was pretty close there. If we stayed green the rest of the way, I think I had one lap of buffer. So the last two yellows definitely helped me save some fuel, and yeah, just pulled some great blocks there at the end on Rowe and Contreras. They were working together, so I knew it was going to be a tough task to hold them off. But yeah, I was able to hold on. It was really fun there. Walker, River, and I, we were back and forth for a good 20-25 laps there, and it was a lot of fun.
And the back and forth action between you two drivers carrying on until what was the very end. You and Sean Rowe ended up having to fight for that one down the final back straightaway into 3 and 4. And it looked like Sean was no match there. Were you worried at all about something going a little bit south at the end, or did you feel confident in what you had?
I was a little worried with Sean and Alan behind me. I knew they were working together the whole race, and I knew that two's better than one. So I had to be really bold with my moves, and I took a big risk on the back straightaway. But I knew he likes to do this juke move, try to juke you out. So racing with him a lot, I read him perfectly, both on the back straightaway and on the front stretch coming to the checker flag.
Well, with that being said, the blocks came in at the perfect time, and the victory here at Daytona, long awaited. You've been a championship contender since the very beginning, and we talked so much about you still having the speed to go after it. But now you've got the result to immediately back it up, a win here at Daytona. Talk about the pressure, of course, that relieves. I'm sure relieves some of which off your shoulders as you now look forward to the rest of the schedule. Our second race on the campaign here, well, we're going to be heading back to Atlanta up next.
Yeah, basically, in the playoffs now, don't really need to worry about points because, I got the wild card now, so I could just do my own thing basically and be a lot more aggressive and try to get some more wins on the season.
Well, there we have it. It looks like the first of many Daniel Mosteller victory here at Daytona. Thank you for your time. If you got any final shout-outs you'd like to give, Daniel, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I want to thank you for broadcasting, Mason, for off-trekking. Everyone for showing up. We had a pretty good crowd tonight. I think 28 people started the race. I think it's one of our best fields counts probably in the league's history. So it was good seeing everyone come out and race. I got $25 for winning the race, so that's pretty cool. Fun racing with River, Aiden. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I'm pumped up.
And coming away with the $25 prize at the tail end of this one, Daniel Mosteller, winner here from Daytona. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And with Demos on the way, Sean Rowe tonight, we see him every so often. It sometimes feels like we go a few weeks or a few months perhaps without seeing him back on the lineup. But tonight, he showed up in a big way and made sure everyone acknowledged he was with us tonight. And it all went through for a second place finish. Sean able to end up on the middle of the podium in this event. Let's get a word now for the number 19 of Sean Rowe in the broadcast booth tonight from second on the board. Sean, how do you feel here? Just a few thousandths away from kicking off the season with what would have been a victory.
I don't know. I'm a little conflicted right now because I mean, it was a good run. I was up there a lot of the race led laps, did pretty well, but I don't know. The win was so close, If I had a good push when I pulled to the outside coming to the line, maybe I could have got it. But at the same time, you can't be too angry with a P2 coming out of Daytona with a clean car.
And not in the slightest. I'm sure you're pretty, matter of fact, we got to talk about what happened. Pretty excited to see you get up there because you were almost involved in the biggest wreck of the day and got yourself through just by playing a calm head and getting away from the carnage. Tonight, many yellow flags, and you were all throughout the order. Let's talk about that to begin with. You nearly got caught up with some 15 laps to go in a huge incident, but you kept your nose clean there, quite literally. What was it like experiencing all that and getting away from it?
It was very, very scary. I saw them all wrecking. I saw a window in the outside. I was like, ooh, maybe I'll be able to get through this. And it closed super quick. I had to slam on the brakes. Everyone started washing up. and I had to check my mirrors, and it was very just instinct moves to get through that, and luckily I barely missed it. Yeah, that if I got in that, I don't think I'm getting anywhere close to a top 5, let alone a top 10 with all the carnage that happened on the last lap. But yeah, that one was definitely a scary wreck to see from the cockpit.
And able to face that fear head on and eventually move on to the final green-white checkered. We talked to Daniel about his perspective, and we'd have to talk to you. Was there any, perhaps, extra move you would have been willing to make to get the victory there, or were you giving it all you had?
I gave it all I've had. I didn't want to do anything dirty to him, like turning him. I just needed more of a setup from Contreras behind me. Me and him both don't race these cars too much on super speedways, at least, so it was kind of hard to figure out what we needed to do to win. And he tried backing up to give me a big run off 4 or through the corners, but I don't think that really works in these that much. He wasn't up near the front most of the race, so he didn't really learn that throughout, at least. And the only thing I would change, because I wasn't a VC with him, I just let him know, stay on me, and just try to make the right move coming out of 4.
Well, tonight, Sean, you stayed calm and clean and made your way up to second to kick off the season. Hoping to see a lot more from you in the weeks coming. That being said, to finish off Daytona, any final messages you'd like to give out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Zachary Todriff for letting me on the PBR team. I'd like to thank Wilkerson and Contreras for helping me throughout the race, and I'd like to thank the league owners for having this league up. Very fun. If anyone's at home watching, wondering if they should join this, definitely join us. It's a fun time if you have time on a Thursday night. And I'd like to thank you putting on a good broadcast, a good stream here. And yeah.
And there we go. Sean Rowe, position number 2 on the day here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
And Rowe going to be on the move. One last driver to speak to. Of course, that's going to be the third place man, Jacob Wilkerson. A good way to start the season for Jacob. He started in 13th on the qualifying grid and able to hang tough for another podium finish here to open up season 6. Wilkerson, third today. Looking at the race finish, you had one of the best views, but just away from giving it a chance for the checkered flag. How was it in Daytona opening up season 6 for you?
Yeah, it was a fun race. Me, Sean Rowe, and Contreras, we were all working together. I feel like I would have had a better shot at the win if I was a little farther up. But on the backstretch, I just started pushing Walker, and we had a huge run on the edge of the 4, and then Sean made his move, and then Walker went high. That's when I split middle, and I was trying to push Sean to the win, but it was just too late to get him up there. But at least we got P3, a podium finish, good points day for us. And yeah.
Well, it looks like points finish. That's the most important thing to take away from it for you. You didn't get the best of starts, of course, in the qualifying grid. Finding yourself in the middle of the pack. I want to talk to you in particular because you were running both high and low here, experiencing both grooves. How was it trying to find the right place to be at the right time, or how difficult was it, rather?
It was really just about controlling the lanes here. Like, just whenever somebody pushes you for a certain amount of time, you move to the other lane to let the guy cool down his temps, and then as soon as the guy behind you gets hot again, you just move back to the other lane if you're able to. Like, it's basically just switching lanes constantly. Like, you can't just stay on the bottom for the entire race and expect the same guy behind to push you the whole time. Like, you have to switch pushing partners throughout the race to control your oil temperatures, and yeah.
Well, it looks like tonight, able to control yourself and the 43 car to make it up into the podium, and a good way to start the season with some momentum. Up next, Atlanta. We saw you very quick there, of course. We've seen you in the intermediates, one of the best drivers all throughout iRacing here. S&T victory, very recent. You had some success in IORA last season. What can you do to back it up and maybe pull away with that first win up next?
I feel like we got a lot of speed going into Atlanta, knowing that I won there in the S&T league. The other like a few weeks ago, and it's basically just need to qualify up front and save our tires and hopefully get the win there.
That being said, Jacob Wilkerson, position number 3 here from Daytona. If you have any final messages you'd like to give, the floor is yours.
Thanks to everybody at home watching. Thanks to Todger for giving me the opportunity to race for PBR. Thanks to my partners at Race EPI for the setups they do for Open Series and the coaching they do. Burnt Rubber Racing Warehouse and you for broadcasting, and May for putting this league together. And yeah.
And there we have it. Jacob Wilkerson, position 3 on the day in an action-packed Daytona event to kick off Season 6. Thank you again for stopping by.
Thank you.
And with that, we've gotten a word from all of our top 3 drivers. Jacob Wilkerson, 3rd. 2nd place going to Sean Rowe. And Daniel Mosteller, the man of the hour, winning here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. What a way to get the job done, of course, for the number 87 team, and a deserving victory for one of our most acclaimed drivers. We thank you for stopping by and watching all of the action live on FTN here from the virtual World Center of Racing. We've got another race coming up very, very soon. The Highline Racing League, they are going as we speak to Kentucky, and we'll meet you there in just a few minutes time. You've been watching coverage of the Season 6 opener here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway in the IORA Cup Series 6th season. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated, and if you want to join as a driver, scan the QR code on your screen today and become a driver in all FTN broadcasted series, most of which are free to join, and we'd love to have you stop by and come along on the FTN journey Monday through Sunday. We've got you covered with free high-octane racing to join as a driver on the iRacing platform. Thank you all for tuning in to tonight's coverage, and we hope you have a fantastic night. You've been watching the Season 6 250, the opener for the IORA Cup Series here in Season 6. Thank you once again for stopping by. We hope you have a fantastic night, and check out our next broadcast starting in just a few minutes, the Highline Racing League at Kentucky.